The first Apple Vision Pro was a sneak peek at the future, and it's probably my favorite device of 2024. It doesn't just give me utility. I just think it's really fun, but I also realize that that's because I'm one of the lucky ones. More on that later. Apple has an updated model that's dropping tomorrow, which adds some nice quality of life features and more importantly, fixes one of the two biggest drawbacks of the original. Let's talk about it starting with comfort. The original Vision Pro was famous for three things: being prohibitively expensive, looking wild, and feeling heavy after just 10 to 15 minutes for a lot of people. Now, I mentioned a minute ago that I'm one of the lucky ones because I could use that original Vision Pro with the solo knit strap for literally hours at a time with no discomfort whatsoever, but I know that just isn't the case for most people. So this new dual knit band is Apple's answer. It's a double strap counterbalance system with a clever fit dial that micro adjusts both the back and top portions independently. And the result is less forehead pressure, more real world stability while wearing it. And for the first time, for a lot of people, Apple Vision Pro is just going to feel way less uncomfortable to wear. Now, here is the surprise though. This is one of the major features that comes inside the box of the new M5 Apple Vision Pro, but you can also just buy this band separately and use it with your first generation model for $99. That is great for owners of the original, and it means you can get the same comfort upgrade without having to buy a new device. So if comfort was your biggest issue, Apple may have just solved it. But this right here is the only physical change. But of course, again, this is a new model. Apple didn't just stop right here. The real trick is the new chip that is under the hood. So let's talk about the M5. For those that want to know the specs, you're moving from the M2 on the original model to the M5 here. That's a 3-generation leap in performance. The M5 packs a 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, hardware ray tracing, a 16-core neural engine, and 153 gigabyte per second unified memory bandwidth. But here's the move that actually matters. Every GPU core on the M5 now has a built-in neural accelerator. This means that the Vision Pro can crunch the heavy math that powers on-device AI models. Things like building lifelike 3D spatial scenes from photos almost instantly, generating depth maps in real time, or just allowing apps to do things like generate interactive animations and explanations right in front of you in your space, all without lag and all processed directly on your device. In daily use, that means spatial photos and scenes load about 50% faster, interactive apps feel smoother, and new AI features from Apple Intelligence or from developers themselves just run. This is one of those upgrades that you don't really feel when looking at a spec sheet, but you do feel it everywhere in the experience. Now, for those wondering, Apple kept that 16 gigabytes of RAM here, so the headline change is bandwidth and display pipeline efficiency, not capacity. Then there's the upgrade that I didn't expect at all, but you will notice it right away if you go from an original Vision Pro to the new one. You see, one of the main benefits of the M5 for the Vision Pro in particular is that it renders 10% more pixels while also increasing the refresh rate to up to 120 hertz when you're looking at the physical world. The net effect here is that the optics just feel smoother and sharper despite using the same displays as the original model. This is purely thanks to the M5. Text and edges snap into focus in a very obvious way, and pass-through is improved too. I feel like it's more subtle, but I've been testing the new Vision Pro while obviously traveling and haven't worn it at home yet where I could do more of an informed comparison. But one thing I will say though, when I'm looking at my real iPhone or Apple Watch while wearing the Vision Pro, there is a huge difference in clarity when compared to the original M2 version. Next, a lot of people are shocked when I tell them that I get a bunch of work done in the Vision Pro. So let's talk about the Mac Virtual Display. Another benefit of the new M5 is that the Mac Virtual Display can finally hit 120 hertz with ultra-wide mode, stretching out to the equivalent of dual 5K monitors side by side. Scrolling is butter. Cursor movement is instant. And again, things just look so much sharper. This is my setup when traveling, which I do a lot. And rather than relying on the display of my smaller MacBook Pro, I could be on a plane or in a hotel room working on a nice, large, ultra-wide while editing videos in Final Cut and keeping my notes and Safari windows and messages all visible and on screen. For remote work, this is legitimately the best portable display I've ever used. Now, if you're thinking that's cool, but can it last? Apple has an answer for that too. You see, again, thanks to the M5, I know I keep saying this, but that really is the main benefit here. Apple is officially quoting up to 2.5 hours of general use battery time and up to 3 hours for video playback. That's a 25% improvement over the original Vision Pro for general use and a 20% improvement when it comes to video playback. So these are not small numbers. For travel and work sessions, it gives you more flexibility to finish what you started. And for watching movies, it just makes it more comfortable knowing you can get through the vast majority of movies now while having power to spare when you're done. Apple also ships their new 40-watt dynamic power adapter in the box, along with a longer USB-C cable. So this thing can actually go up to 60 watts in bursts. So you're getting a much better charger compared to the original model, which came with the 30-watt power adapter. And again, I know I'm probably an edge case here, but this is great for people who use the Vision Pro for multiple hours at a time. Now, another area where the M5 is going to help here is gaming. And that's thanks to support for things like hardware accelerated ray tracing and mesh shading, two things the original Vision Pro did not have. visionOS 26 also added support for PlayStation VR 2 Sense controllers if you have those. And if you don't, Apple will sell them to you along with a charging stand for $250 starting November 11th. I haven't personally used those with Vision Pro yet. I don't own PSVR 2. So I'm not sure how well these actually work, but hopefully we see support for these controllers come to a bunch of Vision Pro games sooner rather than later, because the hardware can absolutely support desktop class VR games. We've just needed a proper way to actually play them. And we finally have that with the PSVR 2 Sense controller support. All right, stepping back, I use my Apple Vision Pro mainly for giant screen video in cinematic environments and to do work on that Mac virtual display at home and on the go. The M5 model makes both of these meaningfully better. Movies look cleaner and motion holds together at larger sizes. And the Mac virtual display finally has that fluidity I wanted. Gaming is still ramping up, and I'm cautiously optimistic we'll see more titles lean into proper spatial input with the PSVR 2 Sense soon. If so, we'll be unlocking a whole new use case for the Apple Vision Pro, which was never really there and which would be cool to see. All right, so should you buy the M5 Apple Vision Pro? Well, Apple hasn't fixed the number one barrier to entry here, which is the price. The M5 Vision Pro starts at that same $3,500 as the original model. And if that's not something you're willing to spend, I totally get it. What it did do, though, by releasing another model is lower the price of the used market for the first version. And I've seen the original Vision Pro since the new model was announced, selling for way less than half the cost of a new model. It's also likely a hard sell for people who already do own the original. Getting someone to spend another $3,500 is a lot. But for those people, you should absolutely upgrade to the new dual knit band if you find any discomfort with your current setup. It really does change things, even for someone like me who didn't feel much discomfort at all with the original model. This is a much less expensive way to breathe new life into your Apple Vision Pro experience. But for those who are on the fence or thinking about picking up a Vision Pro, the M5, again, has a ton of quality of life improvements that just make it a better experience overall. Oh, and speaking of breathing new life into the Vision Pro, visionOS 26 brought a ton of new features that make the experience so much better. Widgets that live in your space, upgraded personas, spatial scenes, and a lot more. I've got a full video breaking it all down, and you can click here or down in the description to check it out. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andru Edwards. I will catch you in the next video.